What would you do if a phone wired to nothing rang in the desert and answered you back in your dead mother's voice? I'm Silas Mortis. Most nights I go where you wouldn't, the locked boards and buried forums of the dark web. And I bring back horror somebody swears is true. This one skipped the forums. It came straight to my inbox from a lineman in Nevada. No return address, one attachment. A note that said only, read it out loud. So I will. Sit close. Now, let's get into the story. Two service roads cross out there where the desert can't decide what it is and nobody living remembers why. There was a mining camp once. Now there's a booth with the glass punched out, a steel pole gone the color of old nickels, and a payphone the company forgot to kill. My work order calls it Site 14. I call it the last one. Everywhere else, they pulled the phones years back, sold the copper, poured concrete over the memory. This one stayed because somebody in a Reno office checked the wrong box in 2019, and now twice a month I drive the truck out to keep a dead thing breathing. I keep my mother's funeral card clipped to the visor. 9 years. The sun's bleached the photo down to a smudge with a smile in it. I don't take it down. You don't. The first time it rang, I was up the pole with a splice half done. That bell isn't a chirp. It's a real hammer on a real bell, and in that silence it goes off like a fire alarm in a church. I came down too fast, banged my knee, picked it up out of pure animal habit. A man's voice, flat, patient, close. Is Danny Ruiz there? Wrong number, I said. Click. I knew a Danny Ruiz. Retired splicer, lived in Fallon, made a chili that could strip paint. Odd. But the desert makes coincidences feel like company, so I let it be. 6 days later, dispatch mentioned it in passing. Danny Ruiz put his truck into a culvert on the 50. Closed casket. I filed it under bad luck. I'm good at that. Filing things. 2 weeks. Next work order, and the bell again. Is Marie Ostrander home? Marie waters her lawn across the street from me in a pink housecoat every morning of her life. I hung up so hard the receiver bounced. 5 days later, there was an ambulance in her driveway when I got home, its lights turning slow and red across my garage door. No siren, no hurry. Aneurysm. Kitchen floor. That's when I started counting. I called Marge at dispatch. I asked her who had access to Site 14, whether there was a test loop running, whether some kid was spoofing the number for a laugh. I heard her nails on the keyboard. Silas, she said. That line's been dead for billing since March 19. No dial tone provision. No ring path assigned to it. A pause. Han, that phone can't ring. There's nothing on our end to ring it. I should have quit right there. Handed in the truck. Instead, I bought a little recorder at the Radio Shack that's really a vape shop now, and I brought it out with me. The bell went off on schedule. Is Tom Beckett there? Tom bowled 2 lanes down from me on Thursdays, a soft, heavy man who apologized to the ball. I played the tape back in the cab afterward, thumb shaking on the little wheel. Wind, just wind, and the tick of the engine cooling. No bell, no voice. 40 minutes of empty air where I had heard him ask. 4 days after that, Tom went off a ladder in his garage, and the angle was wrong, and that was Tom. So I built myself a story I could live inside. The phone was a warning. A gift, even, ugly, but a gift. If I got there first, I could bend it. I could save one. I drove to the Beckett's before Tom died. I'm telling this out of order because that's how it happened in me, the deciding and the dying folding over each other. I stood on his porch and I told him things. Watch the road. See your doctor. Stay off ladders this week, Tom. I mean it. He looked at me the way you look at the one dangerous thing in a quiet room. His wife's hand found the door frame. He was dead inside the week anyway, and I understood I'd had it backwards. I wasn't the man who could stop it. I was the man who carried up onto their porch and knocked. So I stopped answering. I let it ring the whole 2 hours I worked. It rang while I coiled cable. It rang while I threw the toolbox in the bed and slammed the tailgate. In the mirror pulling out, I could still hear it. Or I told myself I couldn't, which is a different worse kind of hearing. 40 miles of a bell that wasn't there. Then came the Tuesday. I was elbow deep in the box, not going to answer. Absolutely not. And it rang, and then it stopped. And my shoulders came down an inch, and it started again. And something in the small of my back reached up and made my hand close on the receiver before I'd agreed to a thing. Not the flat man. My mother. Not near. Not like a recording. Like she was calling me across a yard, 30 years and a whole life gone. screen door, dish towel over the shoulder, supper on the table. Cal, honey, it's getting dark. Come on in now. That's what she used to say. Those exact words. Come on in now. I set the receiver down on top of the box like it was a hot skillet. I climbed down. I went to my kit and I took out the cutters and I found the drop line where it left the pole and I cut it clean through. I heard the copper part. I felt it snap up my wrist like a struck string. The phone rang. Across the cut. No line left to carry it. My own cut ends bright and curling in the dirt, and it rang. I sat in the truck. I told myself when it stopped, I'd go home. It rang at 9. It rang at 11. At 2, it was still going, even and unhurried, a thing with nowhere else in the world to be, and neither, it turned out, did I. Around 4, with the sky going gray at its bottom edge, I walked back across the gravel with my boots loud and all that quiet, and I picked it up. God help me. I answered it. There was no voice. There was a dial tone that had a shape to it, that leaned toward me, that was listening the way you listen for a name in a crowd. And I felt the list arrive. That's the only way I can put it. It came in behind my eyes like cold water finding a low place. Names, soft and orderly, alphabetical the way a phone book is, alphabetical, patient, already mine, already waiting on me. Then the phone died in my hand, really died, the way Marge swore it always was. I drove home with the windows down and the desert cool pouring in, and I felt fine. That's the part I can't make anybody understand. I felt rested. I slept 9 hours like a stone. I made the first call from my own kitchen the next morning. I didn't choose to. My thumb knew the number before my mind caught up. 10 digits I'd never seen. A stranger 2 states east. A man answered, sleepy. I asked if somebody was there, a name that meant nothing to me, and I hung up before he finished saying, "You've got the wrong." And I knew, the way you know your own address, that his week had started. I tried to stop. Understand that. I drove to the reservoir, and I threw the phone as far as the dark would take it and heard it swallow. For 3 days I held, and I could feel the names backing up in me, pressure behind the teeth, a fullness in the jaw like a storm that won't break, the list rising with nowhere to go. On the 4th day, I bought a burner off the rack at a truck stop outside Winnemucca, and I made 4 calls before I was back to my truck, and the pressure let go all at once, and I could breathe again, and I hated how good it felt. I still call my daughter every Sunday, Casey. 26, teaches 3rd grade in Sacramento, keeps a jar of dried up markers she can't throw out. She says, "Hi, Dad," and I hold that half second like it's the last warm thing in a cold house. She's why I've been careful. She's why I haven't just driven out to Site 14 and lain down under that pole to see if it would take me instead of feeding through me. I keep thinking, as long as I keep making the calls, it stays out there, pointed away from her. As long as it's strangers, she's safe. I believed that, right up until last night, because the list climbs. I hadn't wanted to notice, but it does. A letter every week or so, working its way up the alphabet like water up a wick. It's been climbing the whole time. Last night it reached the P's, and the names surfaced clean and cold behind my eyes, and I read them the way you read a headstone you didn't know was yours. Prewitt, Casey. Prewitt, Cal. My girl. Then me. So now you know why a man you've never met mailed his account to a voice on the internet at 3 in the morning, no return address, and asked him to read it out loud. It isn't a confession. I'm long past confessing. The phone told me to send it to one more person before my week runs out. It was very clear about that. One more. It said the reading is how it travels. Mouth to ear to mouth, the way every real curse has always moved, the way your grandmother's stories moved. I already made my Sunday call. Casey said, "Hi, Dad." I didn't say anything back. I couldn't. I just listened to her breathe, and I counted her days without meaning to, and then I did the only thing left that a father can do. I hung up first. The list is long now. I've stopped fighting the shape of it. It isn't a town. It isn't a state. It's a phone book with no last page, and it climbs, and it never once repeats a name, and I finally understood what the flat man understood, what my mother's borrowed voice was trying to walk me gently toward across that dark yard. The list is everyone, and I've just read it out loud to you. That's where the file ends. No signature. No goodbye. I'll be honest with you. My own phone buzzed twice while I was recording this. Wrong number, both times. I'm sure it was nothing. If this one got under your skin, do me a small kindness and like this video. It's the single biggest thing that tells YouTube to carry a story like this to the next person in the dark. Subscribe and turn on the bell for a new one every single day, and share this with somebody you know can take it. Somebody who'd sit up a little straighter hearing that receiver lift. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. There's another story already waiting on your screen right now. Go on, click it, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.